some tracks are really special and you want to hold on to it, then like, just make sure that you're sending it to the right label. And sometimes like the tracks are there, but it's not to the part, like up to the mark where you want to send it to a label, because you feel like, I am not doing that justice to it.
It's tough too. It's a fine balance, because at the same time you could be sitting on tracks that you'll never finish because you're your biggest critic.
Yeah.
So it's a tough fine balance. Sometimes it's like if you're sitting on a lot of it, it's like might as well I poke around and see what's out there, right?
Progressive house, progressive overall, like I feel it's like kind of a, I would say like French expression would be like trash word, where we put everything in it.
Yeah. It's popular and they'll just like dark progressive.
There's
right?
melody, there's a bit of techno beat, the drop kind of thing. Okay, this is progressive house, and this is not the case. And I feel it's more like they trying to be a bit more commercial and marketing, like, oh, progressive house is a trend, but inside of it, we are still trance attached.
Yeah,
like we're still in it.
As I said, I think on the panel on a bunch of our episodes, it's uncool to use the word trance, which is kind of weird, at least for us.
And one thing I could say is like Anjuna labels, people that are working there are watching those groups. So they get a look on this and what's
like
happening.
they're watching the Anjuna Toronto group, or they're watching what the artists are doing.
The AnjunaFamily groups.
Okay,
they take in account like all the feedback and everything that's being said.
I love that. Hey guys, welcome back to the BNB Hurts Podcast, where we talk about all things EDM. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host for this week, Sunny. To my right is Ekern.
Hi.
And in this week's episode, we're talking about trance. Well, not entirely. Today, we're focusing on a community that has a worldwide following and some of the friendliest people in the scene. As we mentioned before on the pod, if you're a solo raver, these are hands down the best events to attend. Many of us have probably gone solo to many of these events, so it's been really good. And we are talking about the AnjunaFamily, which is worldwide. It's a passionate community that grew out of Anjunabeats and Anjunadeep labels. While these labels are influenced by trance, we'll get into, their sound leans more to what's known as progressive these days. Now, what is progressive? Good question. That's one of the things we'll be diving into today, because who doesn't love a good subgenre and genre-defining discussion?
Yeah.
So joining us today are two figures in our local Anjuna scene and progressive scene. We have DJ Alchemist, who's Gungan by his first name, and we have Sheva, who is Isabel by her first name. Mm-hmm. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us.
So within our community, Gungan, he is also the admin of AnjunaFamily Toronto, and Sheva has the honor of playing the Anjuna 25 at Escapade in the opening slot, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be exciting. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
we'll get into
I'm so excited. Want to talk about it.
Yes. And the Anjuna 25, it's like the only Canadian stop, right now I don't think there's a Toronto one.
There will be a Toronto end of August.
End of August.
Yes.
Okay.
They have a show. Yeah, they released the ticket this week, and it's quite full.
Okay.
Guys, get your hand on the ticket.
Okay.
Well, we know the Above and Beyond one is coming at the end of August. Right?
Yeah, this is that one. Yeah,
it is that one.
Yeah.
But this is the Anjuna 25, which is like the artist label.
Artist.
Yeah, I think that might be the only Canadian one that we have.
It's Ottawa. Yes,
so
for sure.
You can get day tickets for Escapade. So make sure you
day tickets for Escapade
on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
If you want to go to the Anjuna, because a lot of people from Toronto are going.
Right.
Yeah.
So today we'll be exploring their musical journeys, seeing how progressive defined them, and also dividing into what is progressive for you guys. And we'll discussing in the AnjunaFamily and other big progressive labels out there. And I guess we'll shed a light on the scene, how the Toronto scene is, and where's it going. So yeah, let's get into it. So Isabel, starting with you, since we were talking about Anjuna 25. Okay, obviously you started. Where'd you start in the scene? Like, what was your journey?
Oh, my journey. So my journey is very interesting and quite unique.
Oh, okay.
I've been introduced to the EDM scene by Mauro Levy himself. So it's
personally.
Yeah, personally.
Wow.
So thing is, I met him when I was in Montreal, still living in Montreal. I met him. He has a show at Newspeak in 2022, and I met him. And he told me like, come to my show tonight. I was like, okay, let's go. I've never been to a club. Well, I've been to clubs.
How did he say? Like, how did you know him? That like he invited you.
Okay, you can imagine 2 single people.
Okay.
Got it.
That's a long time ago. So yeah, and I was like, okay, well, let's go. And then like I wasn't like a party girl, never been in a club, whatever. I was 33, you know, like very like student and focused on my career. And I was like, okay, why not? And then we became friends from there. And 2 weeks after I met him, he changed his website. And I was like, okay, your website is better, but there's still a lot of things we can do about it. So I proposed to work with him. And this is how I embarked in the journey in being into the music industry. So I worked with him, and he had the same manager as Ilan Bluestone. So I was like working with the manager for Ilan Bluestone, Mauro Levy, and Sunny Lax.
Wow.
I don't think there's a better origin story than that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my introduction to the scene is actually a very popular artist.
International DJ and one of the best person I know. Like very, like all three were like very nice and like open arts and like really welcome me into this community. And this is how I embarked into the journey, working with them and working with their manager. And 1 year, and it was really great experience. And it comes to the point of, okay, I love what they do, and I want to learn what they do.
Yeah.
So I went to the DJ school in Montreal. So I was still living in Montreal, and I learned the basis, like how to switch. Even I know how to scratch technically, but.
And what was the time frame of this?
So 2022, I met Mauro Levy. I started working with them like during the summer-ish time, September. And then for 1 year-ish. And I start learning how to DJ at the beginning of winter of 2023.
Oh, wow.
And
So
then-
it's still very recent.
Yeah.
Super
Wow.
recent
Yeah.
for me.
Because Mar Levy, I'm pretty sure I saw Mar Levy before COVID too, even hit. So he was up there too with those
Yes.
guys. And him and like Elon are like best friends.
He was the youngest signed by Anjunabeats.
Oh, was he?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-mm. When he
Yeah,
was
I've been listening
15.
to stuff for like since like 2016, 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow. Well,
Maybe
what an
before that.
origin
Wait,
story.
maybe way before that. I'd have to go back in the directory on.
Yeah, don't
'Cause
ask me.
He's been there for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
ask
long
me
time.
because I started at 2022. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still a baby in this panel.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm such a baby in the community. I'm still learning a lot
Yeah.
and feel very welcome. So
So then, obviously, that's why the sound resonated with you because that was
100%.
your introduction. So
Mhm.
then, have you made any? You've done mixes. Have you done any releases?
so I did one track
Yes.
in my own name. The track is called "Close My Eyes." I collaborate with other producer, of course. Like I still have a lot to learn, so I love to collaborate with other producers. And this track, okay, I qualify it progressive house because I feel too shy
Mm.
to call it trance. To be honest, there's a very lyrical moment and very trancey moment, and the part is more like the drop is more like Will Sparks inspired.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's
okay. So
kind of
like high
different.
energy, but that's
Yes.
that's a recent trend too that everyone
Yes.
does. Is like it's the word progressive, and then you just open the floodgates on what it could be because it could
Yes.
be like
Anything.
progressive house, more like what we know in the Anjuna side,
Yeah.
and then you could have a big room drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
it's like okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, you never know. Like one thing we know on this panel is that you don't know what's going to be the trending sound, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even within the progressive umbrella, you don't know what
Mhm.
progressive style is going to be the one trending. Everyone knows like festival progressive, which we'll get into, but like
Mhm.
you don't know which other the niche genres because, for example, like Anjunadeep, that I would say is just as big as Anjunabeats. In fact, even in some regards, taken over with the community,
100%.
which
Yeah.
has been
Mhm.
crazy to see
Yeah.
because Deep started because of the love of that style of music. It's even more slower, and then everyone knows Beats because of Above and Beyond and all those heavy hitters. But now you look at the Deep lineup, and there's just as big as any Beats lineup, which is like
100%.
crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
anything else in the pipeline? Anything else you're cooking up? Anything for Escapade?
Anything for Escapade? There's gonna be a surprise. I'm
Ooh.
like preparing something
Oh.
quite special. So let's see what's
We're
gonna be.
excited for that set. We'll be there early.
Thank you so much.
All right. So moving over to you, Gungan.
Gungeon.
Gungeon. I always say I'm going to butcher it.
That's okay.
Gungeon.
Yeah.
Yes. So what was your history in the scene?
So, for me, I would give major credit to my brother.
Okay.
So I remember back when we were kids, like around like 2000, we used to listen, like he used to get all these CDs of like discographies of like Tiesto, Armin, above and beyond, and we used to like still remember like we used to put on the CDs and like just go for a drive and come back.
So for you, this is like the 2000, the 2010s, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
you're
when
in
it was
my
peak.
you're in my realm too
Yeah.
on that. So
Yeah.
it's like really cool.
When
Yeah,
it was during the
so-
peak of the genre.
Yeah. So like we used to listen to all the like, you know, trance, and like my brother, like he is the one who's been there when they did their first show for trance around the world in Bangalore. So he was there, and then from there I think we kind of switched to like, you know, different kind of music set as well. Like it was like rock and stuff, but then um I think it was when I moved to Canada, it's like he brought me back into like Anjuna scene, and then you know,
When did you come to Canada?
back in 2018.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
so,
that's
okay.
also when the trance scene is popping too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
the
big
trance
room.
scene popped, and then COVID happened. And
Yeah.
it's kind of
Exactly.
like okay.
Yeah.
So I remember he used to like just book all these tickets to go for all these shows, and then I got introduced to like Jason Ross, Spencer Brown, and I mean my first show, like I went there and people were just so welcoming, you know, everyone just giving me hugs, and you know, just like I felt welcome in the community.
Mm.
And plus like even the musicality, I mean it was just so soulful that I just fell in love with it.
Mhm.
So it was-
Well, this was when Jason Ross was still doing trance.
Yo, I will always. He's made trance set at Escapade.
Yeah.
I'm
You expecting?
very expected. Like I'm excited
Jason
for
Ross.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Jason Ross trance has like a soft spot in my heart.
Mhm.
Every time I
Same.
see a Jason Ross,
Same.
every time I see a Jason Ross trance set, like when you did the Anjuna, I think it was Anjuna After Dark, like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
One of
Yeah.
the first ones. Oh, I was so excited for that set.
Everybody was waiting for.
Yeah,
for
like
that.
I think
Yes,
it's
heard
like
about it.
everyone's guilty pleasure. And once again, he changed the sound a little bit to accommodate what
More
growing as an
popular.
artist and
Mhm.
also like what's
Yeah.
trending.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, I
Um,
was kind of happy when he came here, and then he said like, I'll just before my original set, I'll do just like a trance set.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yes,
yeah.
I was
yes.
like, oh my god, like it's like he's still like, you know, like he knows his fans.
Yeah.
So like people are expecting that as well, but like of course
It's
they're
funny. I
expecting-
knew people who went that night and then left right after a set, but they wanted to see a Jason Ross trance set, which
Yeah.
like
Just that.
I remember when it was being advertised. Like I think New York and them got it first, and everyone saw Jason Ross trance set. It's kind of like that moment. It's like Toronto when?
Yeah,
Toronto when?
yeah, that's
And then
true.
it happened. I think it was like April. I think it was like an April show. So it happened like a couple months later. Like really
Sweet.
cool. So I mean, you're like me. So you've grown up with the Anjuna sound,
Yeah.
trance around the world, which a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know. So before everyone knows like ABGT
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
group therapy, but before that, their radio show was called Trance Around the World, and everyone knows the secret lines Trance Around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Above and beyond. It's like goosebumps every
Yeah,
time,
Every time.
every time. But you actually got to go to a TATW event.
Not
Bangalore.
me
Oh, your
per
brother.
se, but yeah, my brother.
Oh, okay.
But I remember like he used to have like all like those digi cams at the point of time. Like, you know, we didn't have like proper phones or like good cameras. So when he came back, he showed me all the videos, and it was surreal for me to see. And like to be honest, like considering how many people showed up, like I didn't realize. Now if I think of it, like, you know, like since I've been into the scene, it was crazy. Like it was full, like it was jam packed.
I would say India has a soft spot for the Anjuna scene because the Anjuna beats,
Yeah.
the origin is based on a beach in Goa.
Right.
So
Exactly,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
like there's pride in that too.
Yes.
That knowing that the melody started in that location or like
Yeah.
formation from that, like the original trance sound was prominent
Right.
there, and now it's still strong in the Goa scene. Like,
Yeah.
there's
And
still
it's kind of funny because like I was watching one of the interviews that the like all three of them were doing, and then this was the question that was asked, like, how did you come up with Anjunabeats name? And I was like, so I mean, it kind of sounded similar to Anjuna Beach, so we were like, you know what, like instead of beach, how
we're all,
about we
we're all
do
making
Yeah.
we're all cooking up beats anyways
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
It's just like might as well.
yeah,
And
Yes.
as I said,
Yeah.
I'm glad that's stuck. Like
Yeah.
Anjuna
Mhm.
Beats has
I know.
stuck. I know
It's a
they
great
like
name.
they choose the group therapy, and we'll get into like what that encompasses because it
Mhm.
is therapy in the sense of
Yeah,
when you go to an
100%.
event.
100%.
So I
Yeah.
love the branding on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then okay, so 2018 you moved here. Then when
Yeah.
did you actually start DJing, or when did you start like?
Yeah. So for me, like the journey is kind of like pandemic happened 2020, and then like I was like most of the people, like nobody was going to work, right? So I was like saving up a lot of time and like money and like all the resources. So I was like, since I have this time, maybe just put in something towards something like productive. And then that's how I like started watching a lot of videos on like how to DJ. Got a basic controller, which was like which I think they've stopped producing it, but now it's like at that point of time it used to be called as double DJ 400.
Yeah.
And then I just started off, learning more about it, and I started going online on Twitch, like playing for my friends and family, and they used to come online, and like we didn't have anything else.
Did the controller look like a toy?
It did. To be honest, like I was kind of intimidated by it, because like I was like, okay, like how am I gonna do it? And for some reason, like I always used to think that the keys that they have it's like soft keys. But when I actually got the controller and I like just started playing, I felt like it's nothing but just like a button.
Yes,
So
it's just about it.
yeah.
Essentially, you have to have
Yeah,
that
just
time where
push
it's
a
like,
button.
what is this button?
Yeah.
What is this button?
What
do?
DJ are doing? They're just pushing play,
This-
So
this
that.
is-
Yeah. So that's how I started off with DJing, and then I realized soon enough that I mean, if I am doing it and if I'm passionate about it, I cannot be just playing other people's tracks.
Yeah.
I need to start thinking about having like creating my own production, and that's how I got into like music production as well.
Yeah.
And
It is the next step for like any,
Exactly.
especially like on your end, Isabel.
Mhm.
Like it's definitely the next step. You have the one track out there, but you need to
To do
have
more.
more
Yeah.
cooking,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking about it. And this is unfortunately the way for us to be more popular. Like you can DJ all of the people tracks, but at some point, like if you want to get out there
Yeah.
and make your name, like you need
You
to
gotta
produce.
You gotta do
get
your own,
by
yeah.
and producing.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, again, like YouTube was the first thing that I started like learning more about it, like something about like music theory and stuff like that, and then just to get a better understanding, I started taking piano lessons as well, just so that
Nice.
at least I know like
So you took it on purpose, like
Yeah.
after, so you never knew it before, or
like,
you had back in the day, you did.
basic, and I like the music theory that I had, it was more towards like Indian classical music
okay,
style,
okay.
not the Western style.
Yeah.
So like like Indian music, it's more about just the notes, whereas like Western music, it's more about the chords and like notes, or not notes, but it also a part of how the chords work, or like how the keys work. So yeah, I learned about it, and then at that point of time, I remember Phil Martinello, he had his
He's
he
great.
had it own studio, and I was looking for a studio
Was it above the
above the wreckage.
above the
Above the
record?
record.
Shout out,
to it.
shout out Martinello.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I messaged him one day, and he's like, yeah, I mean, the studio is available. Like, if you just want to come for music production, we have these speakers, and we also have a studio where you can, if you want to practice, like playing on CDJs, you can do it. And that kind of helped me a lot, because like I didn't previously, I was just producing on my headphones, which weren't that clear. But then when I went to the studio and had like
Something else.
monitor speakers, I was like, it's a different game altogether. Like I can hear
100%.
everything clearly. That kind of helped me with my music production as well. So yeah, I mean, started off with that, and then 2021 I had my first release, which was a proper trance track, which was 138. But yeah,
Proper.
Yeah.
We'll get into more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I went to so we were talking about your history set, and
Yeah.
I was like listening to it, I'm like, yo, I think these are like half your IDs.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been like this year, like last year I was like really into music production and releasing tracks, and a lot of them, the IDs that I haven't still sent to any labels, because as an artist, like when you get into music production, sometimes you just feel that some tracks are really special and you want to hold on to it, then like just make sure that you're sending it to the right label. And sometimes like the tracks are there, but it's not to the part, like up to the mark where you want to send it to a label, because you
Yeah.
feel like I mean, I am not doing that justice to it.
It's tough too. It's a fine balance, because at the same time you could be sitting on tracks that you'll never finish because you're your biggest critic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a tough fine balance. Sometimes it's like if you're sitting on a lot of it, it's like might as well I poke around and see what's
Yeah.
out there, right?
Exactly. So I mean, for these ones, like I've completed it, but it's just that some of it, I like one of the tracks that I made was for my mom when she passed away back in 2015. But I had to make sure that if I am producing it, it has to be Anjuna style.
Yes.
And the even the lyrics of it, I reached out to one of the vocalists. She's based out of Rotterdam. I fell in love with her voice. It's very similar to that of Zoe's.
Okay.
And
So you definitely wanted to go for that Anjuna, like
Yeah.
that Zoe Johnson style, where
exactly.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And then I wrote the lyrics as well. She just gave soul to that track. And that got released back in 2022. I wanted to get it released on the label, but then of course, sometimes you just have to
Yeah.
settle for less.
But it's out there, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What's the name of the track?
It's called "I Will Always Love You." It's
Beautiful.
released on Antima label.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like songs like that, like that's where like the community, especially the Anjuna community, a lot of songs start in that realm of emotion, right?
Yeah.
Which is great.
I
Like
love emotion.
trance, progressive, like
Yeah.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just different BPMs.
Right.
So so obviously both of you guys found the progressive sound. Like that was your go-to. Have you guys experimented with any other sounds?
I definitely have. So, like I said, I started off with trance and then got into progressive, and then for me, I'm like in middle between. Like I keep producing between like progressive as well as melodic techno.
Yeah.
Because that's something like just
Slow
Same
trance.
thing.
Slow trance.
slow
Slow
trance.
trance.
Yeah,
Slow
slow
trance.
trance. Yeah, definitely that.
Really?
That's what
okay.
we say. I mean, if Armin says it.
Yeah. Yeah.
True. Slow
Yeah.
trance.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I keep experimenting. But I mean, I won't like for me. I've decided like I won't deviate fully, like not going towards like drum or bass or like different
Yeah.
genre altogether, but something that's still closer to trance or like the
Yeah.
originality of it, but still has a different sound design or like musicality.
Yeah, it's
per
funny. We
se.
say
What about-
everything is trance because everything takes an element of trance, but no
Yeah.
one wants to call it trance.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're not shy to
Like
go.
melodic dubstep.
Yeah.
It's technically a little bit trancey.
I
just
mean,
for the dubstep.
I
world.
do have a story for it. So, I mean, technically, if I can be wrong, but I think originally, if you talk about like electronic dance music, like it was techno, which was considered as the parent, and
Mhm.
trance was something that originated from techno.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, like, even if you
I
look
think
at
so,
yeah.
the BPM, like it's 138, 140, because that's what techno was.
That's-
And then, but like it was still techno, but then it was like trance was more about melody and soul and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
that's why it
That's
popped
it.
off in the
Yes.
2000s because it was fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh
Barry
and new and
Corson,
melodic.
Armin,
Yeah.
Tiesto, like
Yeah.
paving the way
Yeah.
because it was
Yes.
fresh. Because like
It
oh,
wasn't just non-lyrical tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though you could sense the melody. I think the
Yes.
melody was very prominent at that time compared
That
to
too,
because
yeah.
I think even with techno back then, minimalistic techno was like in everywhere.
Was
Yeah.
more between the emotion of things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then it's also to do with psychedelic trance because it was
Mhm.
at that point of time, like back in Goa, it was pretty, famous, and like
Mhm.
I know a lot of people used to just travel to Goa just to listen to psychedelic trance. So I think that's how like the scene just popped up and it blew up back in like early 2000s. And yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
25 years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Have you tried experimenting with higher BPM than just Anjuna? Why did you go downwards and not?
So I think for me, it again has to do with pandemic
Mhm.
because for me, even like with my music taste, which stuff that I used to listen to, and I think for most of the people, it kind of changed because like we were all like just sitting at home on the couch, right, and
Yeah.
listening to a lot of streams. So since we weren't in a club, we weren't dancing like
Okay.
that freely. We were just sitting on the couch, but still listening to it. So people kind of switched towards a slower BPM, like progressive,
Mhm.
like between like 120 to 128. 130 is still like it's I personally feel it's like more like a club kind of tracks that basically you need to feel that bass, or just be able to dance.
It's not. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I see what you mean. It's
Yeah.
not more like, I guess, with the progressive sound, it's more easy listening for at all times, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
At
With
any
that
time you're
BPM.
working and having.
I know we're on
progressive
a
house.
different
Yeah.
wavelength. I know a bunch of people I know on a wavelength because easy listening to me is also hard techno in a car. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a
It's
little like
subjective.
drum and bass in a car. Like I'm
Yeah.
totally game. So
Yeah.
I get it. But like a nice Sunday
Yeah.
drive, not today though because traffic is brutal. But nice Sunday drive
Yeah.
on most days.
Yes.
It's like just putting on like group therapy and just
Oh.
like driving with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Also
Yeah.
is,
So for me, I mean, that's why that was the reason that I, kept coming or choosing a lower BPM. And also, like, I think, again, one of the interviews that I was watching, and Pavo and said the same thing. Like, with Anjuna, like they chose 128 because it's in the middle. Like it's not 138, it's not 120, 123 where progressive is. Like it's in the middle, and so it's like making it's like a balancing two different BPMs and still getting what they need.
Or what I like to say, you have the two groups arguing, the 138 and the lower BPM, and the Anjuna's in the middle being the
Yeah.
arms full. It's
Yeah,
like,
pretty
come,
much.
come to my side.
Take both of them
Yeah.
over. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a
Good
question. Would you say that the BPM 138 is neither too fast or too slow?
I would say it's
It's like sitting in this very gray area.
it is, and that's why Armin always mentions like who's afraid of 138, and that's how
Yeah.
they came up with that.
It's like,
term.
no, too
Yeah.
fast.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Because like people sometimes, like I know like Orion Nilsson, like he sometimes have tracks which are like 133, 135, and then he also have tracks which is like 140. So 138, it's like still a gray area.
Mhm.
It's so funny just to hear those numbers because you're like, it's only 10 less. Like,
Yeah.
what happened to the
Yeah.
other first
Okay.
100
Yeah.
numbers?
Yeah.
It's like, where's 100 BPM? No, it's
Mhm.
too, so
Okay.
for everyone listening, it's essentially like beats per minute. At a certain point, it's too slow.
Yeah.
Where it's just
Yeah.
like a heartbeat. It's like, and think of it
Yes.
like a heartbeat, right? So
Yeah.
you need
It's
it elevated
exactly
to
that.
that
Like the
heartbeat.
BPM is like how you're gonna synchronize to the dance. Like
Yeah.
being
Mhm.
at 128 and 28 when 138 is like the energy that you're gonna bring in like
Yeah.
dancing.
Correct.
If you are like 100, it's like you're resting. Basically.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Just for
It's
everyone
like-
listening. Just
Yeah.
so you're just like, oh, it's only 10 BPM. Why is everyone afraid?
Hey, but to
You need
us,
to go. You need to
but
go.
to us at Hard Techno 150, we can still rest. I can still sleep. in
Okay,
it.
you
Sure.
guys are taking something.
Yeah.
If you rest at 150, like
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The bench is looking mighty comfortable.
Yeah.
No,
So-
it's always interesting to hear because sometimes we joke to it. Oh, if it gets to a certain low BPM, it's sleep music.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's like I'll just put this on a lullaby at night
Yeah.
and just fall asleep, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is where I think the experimenting of other genres makes sense.
Mhm.
But I think we've talked about it a bunch. What is progressive? So I think
Oh,
that's like the
that's-
most confusing thing for a lot of people is because it's like, wait, isn't Martin Garrix progress? Like if you look at Beatport and you look at progressive house, you see all these artists who are progressive labeled as progressive house in the
Yeah.
top like 10 of the like DJ Mag, and you're like, wait a minute, that's
Mhm.
nothing like the Anjuna sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what
What-
is it? So
what is
essentially,
it?
like Anjunabeats for everyone listening. Anjunabeats was trance, is what considered like modern trance 138.
Mhm.
More trancey elements. And then in 2010 they had a shift with their group therapy album
Right.
and rebranding where they shift to more progressive house.
Yeah.
But essentially it's like progressive house with trance melody
Right.
Yeah.
is what
Mhm.
it is. So I think, and just to clarify, when we talk about Martin Garrix and Swedish House Mafia, I think the consensus definition it's festival progressive house or big room progressive
Main
house.
Right.
stage.
Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
so? Yeah, it's like big, loud. But if you break down the song, you have that melody that is a little like the trance melody that's
Right.
still there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just more
A lot of melody.
progressive.
Still emotional. Like
Yeah,
still there.
still-
it's
still-
just it's more commercial and getting things together. Versus like I feel that Anjuna Beats is more like, okay, let's keep some essence behind trance essence where we are like into more in the emotion. So progressive house, progressive overall, like I feel it's like kind of a, I would say like French expression will be like trash word where we put everything in it.
Yeah. Oh, it's popular, and
Yeah.
they'll just like dark
Okay,
progressive.
There's
right?
a
It's like-
melody, there's a bit of techno beat, the drop kind of thing. Okay, this is progressive house, and this is not the case. And I feel it's more like they trying to be a bit more commercial and marketing, like, oh, progressive house is a trend, but inside of it, we are still trance attached. Like,
Yeah.
we're still in it.
As I
So
said, I think
Yeah.
on the panel on a bunch of our episodes, it's uncool to use the word trance, which is kind of weird. At least for us.
it's coming back. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming
back. It's
Definitely coming back.
We hope, yeah.
We hope in other forms too. Like one of
Yeah.
the ones popping off right now is Eurodance, which
Eurodance,
Yeah.
has trance elements, but
Yes.
it's more higher BPM.
Right.
Way higher, yeah.
Yeah,
140, 150.
So
Yeah,
it seems like a lot of the current trance elements are being influenced by higher BPM. That's not 138. It's actually like using more techno influence.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of thing.
And
Back to
yeah.
the the roots
original.
of techno becoming
Yeah.
more lyrical and becoming trance.
So Anjuna, like I guess we'll still call it progressive house in this case, right? That is the right definition for Anjuna. It's considered what, ambient, deep,
Emotional.
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 Yeah, you have some of the DJs that are more intense. Like if you get, for example, Mauro Levy, like he has very long lyrical and very taking, but his drop are like very like intense versus other DJ are were more like liquid, I would say. Like Spencer Brown, I think it's more flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the DJ. So
But does that mean that something like minimal techno is technically considered progressive? Or is that still its
Ooh.
own definition?
you don't have this breakdown, I would say. Like you still have the beep.
but you don't have the
the-
actual melody build up or like
You have this build up, but the beat is still there. You know, like you don't have a moment where the beat stop. So I would say, like for me, it's melodic techno. It's different than progressive house. It's just I'm
okay.
curious. Maybe you may have a different opinion, but yeah.
and then like something like Anjunadeep is still progressive house, but just on the slower BPM. Like deep is slower BPM.
No. So
Or-
this is where I also sometimes like, kind
This
of.
is why we love
Get
defining
confused.
genres.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
hard,
defining
it's hard.
genres and arguing about genres because as if you want to let us know if we're wrong, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please.
It's like these guys have no idea what they're
exactly.
talking
A
about.
full debate after.
We can talk about this all day.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
For me, I think there's a very thin line, personally, for me, like very thin line between Anjuna style, like progressive house and like deep house. Because I've seen some tracks like getting released on Beatport, but they are under deep house. But if I listen to it, I would personally feel, like it has those progressive elements, like it's progressing towards something. And like, but would I call it deep house? No, not necessarily. So for me, it's still like a gray area.
And deep house is not under the progressive umbrella, or is it?
No,
It's
I would.
different. It's
yeah.
house.
Okay.
It's house.
Yeah.
It's house.
Mm.
Okay.
It's
okay.
house. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely it's house. So yeah, for me, I think it's. I mean, I always find myself in that gray area where like I'm still.
I just like to
learning.
think about it a lot. I'm like, what is progressive? I know the general definition of progressive. That's what we said. It's like
Yep.
with just a little bit of a trance element. It's just
Yep.
funny to see the different people
Opinions.
grouped in together. And it's like they won't associate with these guys ever, but they're both progressive house.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
But that's the beauty of music. Like you get influenced by all the genres, and this make like your piece of music unique. So of course, like it's sometimes it's blur. Like I think like the way we DJ too, like we put melodic techno to trance, etc., which makes the beauty of music. Like
Yeah.
sticking to one genre is hard in a
Yeah.
way, and you want something unique. So you have more and more like mixing classical music and techno,
Yeah.
which makes it kind of unique in a
Yeah.
way. So
I think
Yeah.
it comes back to
hard.
the essence of what we're saying. It just has that melody.
Exactly.
If it has that
Right.
melody, you can have a techno that has melody. You can
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
Yes.
a slower, deep song.
I would say like for me, like if I have to like explain it to someone, like the best example for progressive house would be Deadmau5 Strobe.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's like 7 to 8 minutes long track and it progresses to something to eventually reach somewhere. And same is the case with Eric Pritz.
Okay, I was just gonna mention
Yeah,
Eric
yeah,
Pritz
yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone knows Opus
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how the progression builds. It's a song that starts with one beat
Yeah.
and he
Mhm.
adds layers.
Yeah.
It gets to the climax and he ends off the same way he starts it.
Yeah. I
But-
mean,
But minimal techno also does.
See, this is where
Yeah, it's so blurry. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a little blurry because I think who's the big minimal like John Digweed I think is a big
There's
minimal.
Cream also that's quite trendy right now. Cream
Yes.
is a big one. Like
Oh, Cream, like the DJ Scream.
yeah, DJ
Yeah.
Scream. Yeah.
I thought they do more melodic techno.
it's melodic techno. Exactly, it's what I'm saying. It's
Okay.
melodic
Yeah.
techno.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's
Yeah.
melody. There's techno behind, but is it prog house? No, because there's no breakdown really. Like
Yeah.
when you listen to like Liquid Lab, you have the impression it's just one big song, because they mixed it so well.
Okay, I
So,
see that.
you see it?
Yeah,
The
okay.
beat is constant, the
There's
melody
no
is still there. Even
breakdown.
if the melody is progressive, you don't have like moment with just
Or like
lyrical
an
or
actual
just
climax, right?
Mm.
Essentially
Exactly.
what it is.
where you
Okay.
just
Yeah.
respire, like breathe the emotion, from the track.
Interesting.
Versus-
I never thought. I have to go back and listen to more Liquid Lab. I love the Liquid Labs. They're
It's
so
amazing.
good. So
Yeah.
for everyone listening, definitely check out Cream's Liquid Lab. They have cool locations when they shoot it. I think they're at like
amazing.
volume 8 or 9.
Oh, way more.
There's something like that.
they're now at 11, I
Yeah,
guess.
Are they
Yeah,
11?
more.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
okay, they're more.
Yeah.
Yeah. They ramped it up. There was like every like 6 months or something. They're doing more now. But
No,
it's really
more.
cool.
And I try to get inspired from other DJs. So like the way of mixing and etc. So makes it interesting to listen as a DJ too. Is like, oh, there's another technique of mixing. Like it's just not just like one big song and just slowly. Sometimes it's like a bit more rapid in the transition.
And
kind
they
of thing,
also,
so-
I know they in their subheadings they say what it's like what this
Yeah, first-
with
first.
this Liquid Lab is influenced by like
Mhm.
certain artists, right? Which is like really cool.
Yeah, and I think with them, like they also like to like play around with a lot of different tracks and mash it up all together
Yeah.
and just come up with. So you'll be like, oh my god, like I love this track and I love this track too, and like they have just combined it together and like it's a different version altogether.
And they did your amazing remix of
Yeah.
like, popular songs. I love to put them in my sets.
No,
Same,
no.
yeah.
Everybody's singing.
I mean,
and,
their
like,
show
it's
at
you.
department sold out, so that just goes to
Yes.
a testament of how popular they are now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
once again,
Mm.
like 2 years ago, probably not, but like it's like that. It's interesting to think about. It's like what genres are popular, and you're just like, oh, I think that sounds popping off, but like
Mhm.
I guess it falls under melodic techno. It does.
Yeah,
does?
it's melodic techno.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say.
But
Yeah.
I would say, okay. So speaking of this, okay. So
You have a brain freeze here.
now I'm gonna move on to the melodic part. So melodic house, melodic techno.
Mhm.
It's not under the progressive umbrella, or is it?
no,
No.
I would
Okay.
not say it has those elements. It's similar, like the BPM is kind of similar, but the musicality, sound design, everything is different.
Mhm.
Like melodic techno is more aggressive.
Okay.
Progressive, I would say, is like still chill, like like it has that melody. I mean, of
Mhm.
course, melodic techno does too, but
Mhm.
then it's aggressive. Like
It's
it's aggressive,
aggressive,
and it's
okay.
very bass focused as well. Like
Yeah, it's
even
more
if
bass.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
that's
like
for
So
sure.
which umbrella does it fall into?
The
You can't
progressive
say- you
house,
can't
you
say-
really have this disconnection
Yeah.
between the breakdown and the drop. I feel you really have like this build up to the drop. There's really like a difference that you can hear, like versus like melodic techno house is like more flat. Like
It's more throughout.
Mm.
I think that.
Mhm.
But once again, it comes back to certain songs still influence that
Yeah.
drop. Drawing a blank, but there's tons by Camel Fat or like
Mhm.
even Cassian, who was just here, where they have
That's more-
that.
yeah.
Where it's flat, but then they have a one peak moment, and then it goes back to like being
Yeah.
flat.
yeah,
I think
kinda
I know
thing.
what you guys mean. So like for everyone here, it's like if you want to just look at progressive on the bare bones, it's essentially the melody is there, but you have a build up and you have a climax, and then the drop happens.
Kind of
Right.
thing,
Essentially,
kind of
that's
thing,
the
yeah.
progressive
Yeah.
umbrella.
yeah.
And in, like for example, future rave, it can be under also the umbrella of
Yes,
of
David Guetta's.
progressive. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
have these big lyrical moments, and then it's more like techno-ish and intense. So yeah, there's all this.
The simple
spectrum.
breakdown is
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I'm hearing the word organic house, but I think that falls under house. Like
House.
what? Okay, I'm just. What is organic house? Someone tell me what's organic.
For me, house is more like you have more hi hats and it's more a wet sound versus
Okay.
like when you have techno or progressive house kind of thing. It's more like clear sound, clear beats, clear bass kind of thing.
Okay,
Mm.
so
That's-
Afro house would still fall under the house umbrella
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
sense. Okay,
Yes.
but even though it has a little bit
Yeah.
interesting.
Because to me, organic house does sound exactly like Afro house.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's what.
Okay,
Very, very similar. But I'm not dabbling in that house section for far too long to able to listen to distinguish between the sounds.
I just keep hearing the name organic
Yeah.
house lately. I'm
Yeah.
just like, what? what is organic
Yeah.
house?
Yeah.
And like once again, it also goes back. Okay, I listen to house, but I don't listen to organic. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. So for me, organic house is like, and I know like Marsh, Nels Hoffman, like even Ben Mummer for that matter, like they have tracks which you would call organic house, and it has to do with the elements that's taken from the nature, like organic. So like even if you listen to these tracks, you'll see a lot of like birds chirping, like sounds of like winds or waves, like even Nora and Pure, like some of her tracks are organic. She is really inspired by ocean or
Yeah.
marine life, right? So you'll hear a lot of like whale sounds. So for me, I mean, that's how I understand organic house, because it takes a lot of elements from the nature and like organic elements.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so since we're talking about artists, let's talk about artists because I know our audience love artists. So let's just name a bunch of artists and let's try to group them. So like Nora and Pure,
Yeah.
would you consider her organic house or like under the progressive?
No, she's everything. So
So
she's
we can say everything too,
Yeah.
just so people know. I think that's the simple answer. But if we want to define it, then we can do that.
sure.
okay.
So I mean, by everything, I mean like she has tracks which might be defined as deep house, then organic house, then progressive house. Some of the tracks that I've heard, like I think those are still IDs, but that would fall under melodic techno as well.
Yeah,
So essentially, she's
yes.
very she'll flow through
Yes.
everything, which
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
cool.
So,
So,
but I don't hear Anjuna in that list.
I don't.
She-
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
right?
does. She has never
No.
released under Anjuna.
No.
No.
Once.
Yeah.
It was I don't think so whether she released it or not, but then it was remember the first gorge that happened, not the ABG 250, but the second one edition that they did.
Oh, Weekender.
The
The
track, I'm blanking on the name, like it was track between Ava and Vion and Seven Lands. Never See the End or something.
Okay,
See
yeah,
the
See
End.
the End, See
So
the End.
she
true.
she did a remix of that track.
Oh yes,
Yes.
yes. I
True.
guess that counts.
Yeah.
But
not necessarily in the list you can see on Wikipedia,
Yeah.
but yeah, she.
interesting. Okay, so let's talk about Anjuna artists who like essentially if you're signed to Anjunabeats or Anjunadeep, you fall under the progressive house umbrella. Is that correct? Or is that wrong? Anjunabeats, yes. Maybe
Okay,
Anjunadeep.
there's some artists from Anjunabeats that will never say they do progressive house, otherwise they're gonna get killed.
That's what I mean.
Let's keep the trance.
Okay, that's where the
Trance.
term trance came in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple artists out there. I don't know if we want to name names, but
Yeah.
they adopted the word trance.
Trance.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So what that's trance with
With a British accent. It's from Milan Bluestone.
I know, it's
it's
from
just
Milan.
that. The story behind is just like because he has a British accent and it's like in terms of trance, it's trance.
it's trance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard trance.
So they'll call
There's
themselves
nothing but-
trance artists, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say like Anjunabeats. Well, depends because they have such a long list of artists and everybody has their own flavor, of course. But the one that I work with were trance and yeah, well, Sonny likes kind of going to melodic techno. It's more like that thing.
Yeah, now he is.
Yeah,
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 I
so-
think he's experimenting.
It's
Amazing.
so
producer.
funny that even those guys won't say they're progressive house.
Oh, no, like-
they'll say they're
It's
trance.
But at the same time, like for example, Maor is now releasing under like Ophelia Records, and it's more going to liquid DMB, but you can still feel the trance behind,
Yeah.
like all the
Mm.
the.
This is
the
why we
difference,
keep saying
yeah.
everything is trance. Everything has
It's
elements of
a
trance.
it's a business decision.
It's
You
a
know?
Yeah.
trance is uncool, so
Yeah.
we'll just call it something else.
But Ilan Bluestone is trance, like he's trance
Yeah,
DJ.
that's-
Will never call himself. Probably will never call himself something
You know what's
else,
funny?
Yeah,
You
mentioned-
never know though. Maybe down the
yeah
line,
we never
yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
Because Jason Ross went and made the switch. So
It's funny that you mentioned like COVID started a lot of careers. Is what we found out. Like
Yeah.
it's like what else are you gonna do? It's funny too because I remember specifically one of those streams when we couldn't really see anyone. Everyone was following the rules. We had a Zoom call and we were watching an Elon Bluestone live set that he was doing because it was like, oh, this is our form of music, and we all love it. Like I have the trance shirt. I bought that right away with a couple of friends because I love his sound because
Yeah,
essentially
it's
it
great.
is trance to me.
Mhm.
But I guess he falls under the Anjuna umbrella just because
Yes.
of how the breakdowns are.
Yeah.
And he's been one of the first guys back in like 2014.
yes,
Like
yeah.
when they switched over to more progressive house sound.
Yeah.
But still
But some of his track are in the beatport. If you look at like it's more under the dance electronic thing.
Yeah.
So I guess it's he's
good old genre defining, guys.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
You have some-
Even though we have a conclusion, we technically don't when we come to specific artists.
At the end of the day, it's how you feel the music. Like, I'm sorry, I'm
Exactly.
being
Yeah.
generalistic on this, like very philosophical, but yeah.
if you're
it's
if
like-
you're only listening to the artist, just go for it. You don't need to argue with anyone what kind of
the
music it is.
That's-
It's like I just like Elon Bluestone and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So someone like Christoph, what would that was? I would consider him very progressive house.
Again, he's He's also a mix. I personally feel he's mix of again everything. And I mean, with him, like that's the best part about him as well. Like he is a producer who loves to experiment. So he is also like I have heard his tracks again.
Well, his open to close makes sense because he's allowed to
Yeah.
experiment. Like I went to his
Yeah.
open to close set, fantastic. Like
Yeah.
a master behind the deck
Yeah,
in order to guide the crowd.
exactly. So like even with him, like he falls under. Yeah, I mean some tracks, yes, like progressive house,
But he's like
also
Nora. He's like Nora.
yeah, he's also like doing melodic techno. And then
So then someone like Eric Prydz.
he's definitely progressive.
Okay, that's how
Yes.
I think of Eric Prydz, is that he is the
The-
progressive house I think of.
Mm-hmm.
That's him, because essentially he has that melody, but it is the more progressive
Yeah.
sound. Okay, so that defines
Yeah.
that at least.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And then we talked about it earlier, like Martin Garrix. Audion just did a tour as they're recording this episode yesterday in Toronto. The tour name is Progressive House is Not Dead.
Okay, I love Martin Garrix. I really respect him, like for what he's doing. He's a genius. But it's still like big room,
Yeah.
big audience, and
He's same with
commercial.
Audion, like Progressive House is Not Dead. You mean
Yes.
big room progressive?
Yeah.
Once
kind
again,
of.
we're getting to the genre defining thing, which is always funny, but that's the essential definition of it.
Yes.
That like Swedish House Mafia, even old Avicii is progressive.
Yes.
Yes.
Festival.
Avicii-
Festival.
I think this is where that was the point of change, is when Avicii came to the scene, like bringing this more melodic and emotional music. I think this is where like people say, okay, I'm all progressive house.
And it worked on the big
Mm.
stage, so they
Yeah.
knew to make that sound. Like Swedish House Mafia
Yeah.
knew to make that sound for the big stage, whereas
Yeah.
a more progressive artist like Eric Prydz doesn't translate as high energy
Mhm.
as a Martin Garrix for sure, like
Yep.
guaranteed. Like,
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Exactly.
that makes sense.
I think it's for me. It's also again about the musicality towards it. Like Eric Prydz is more ARP based, so like for people listening, like ARP is more of like, it's kind of difficult to define, but like it's just like each note's 1/16th note, like just jumping very quickly.
Mhm.
So that's like what we call like ARP, and Eric Prydz basically plays around with it and creates a melody out of that. Whereas big room progressive, or even like Anjuna style trance, like they're more focused towards like chords, which are nothing but like 4 different notes played together. So I think for me, it's about the musicality that changes. Like they might fall under progressive house, but like the the structure and the sound design is different, which makes them get into a different genre altogether.
That's
Yeah.
very technical.
Yeah.
Because for me,
Yeah.
like when you say a Martin Garrix Day Mouse and whatnot, it's the festival prog house. Is the element is speaking into the mic.
Ooh,
Okay.
that-
That's another debate. That's another debate.
That's a whole other.
Okay,
That's
Yeah.
DJ
that's a-
talking to
that-
the mic.
That's a hot
That's-
topic for
Yeah.
sure. Because I will say other DJs do it too. Like we're saying Elon
Yeah.
Bluestone, he's always on the mic too. I heard him.
Not the set that
He-
I went to though.
No, he like to talk to the public, but not in a way to make you jump or something. It's
Yeah.
really like just to
I-
connect with the
yeah.
public, which is very different with some DJ that are more like animators and like always on the mic.
Actually, what was the last Anjuna After Dark that they did? I think he did back to back with Artie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
He was the hype man for that set. I remember.
Yeah.
I was just like,
he let Artie play.
yeah,
you
he
know,
let
like,
Artie
do the
play. I'm
thing.
like, what is Elon even doing?
Yeah.
He's just there like hyping up the crowd. I'm
Yeah.
I
like,
know.
okay, but he wasn't really speaking to the mic.
No,
if I
but
recall,
No,
but he's
no.
he
you can
like to communicate with like
like, let's go.
yeah, be
let's
with
go,
the crowd.
guys.
Like you
Yeah.
get his energy from there, and it's amazing. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that genre defining stuff.
Debate on this, like-
we could go even deeper down the rabbit hole if we did other
Yeah.
genres. But okay, let's just focus to what brought us all here, the Anjuna family.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess we mentioned it earlier for everyone listening. Anjuna started in the 2000s, Above and Beyond. 3 guys, Pavo,
Tony.
Tony, and I knew on the spot I'd forget. Pavo, Tony, and
I'll let
Jono.
you-
Jono.
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 There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I did it on the camera. Oh my god, it's so. See, guys, we do get nervous when recording sometimes too.
And you were prepared. You were prepared. So.
I wrote Above and Beyond, but I'm like, I should probably tell who's actually part of the group. So
Yeah.
yeah, they started it back in the 2000s. Started with Trance Around the World, that's what we talked about. So trance.
Yeah.
Their radio shows went up to like 450. They even had like some big shows doing it. And then in 2010, they shifted their sound to, they rebranded their radio show to Group Therapy. And then they switched it to what we say is more progressive house with a trance element. We'll say with a trance element because
Yes,
it's
thank
still
you.
it's still very trancey.
Yeah.
But we have a show here August 29th for their new album, which is great. So if you don't have your ticket, there's still tickets online. Floors sold out really quick.
I know.
Yeah.
But in terms of being around the most passionate fans in the world, like those floors are no scalpers. They're actually probably passionate fans
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Who wanted to say about me
Yeah, and want to push the button.
and want to push the button.
You.
Yes.
I definitely want to try it this time.
Well, we have I know 2 different friend groups who have gotten to push the button. And yeah, it's you have to have a specific tactic in order to get there, which is kind of funny. So I just want to break. So we talk about AnjunaFamily, but what has Anjuna meant to all of us? I guess we'll start with you, Isabel. Like,
Oof.
what has Anjuna meant?
For me, it was my first like door opening doors about this full universe of EDM, and yeah, it's particular when you start with Anjuna. I had the chance to be either backstage and in the public with Anjuna. So in the public, I have to say it's the family, everybody taking care of each other. You feel safe, and like it's really like people welcoming you if you're alone to go to one of those shows. At the same time, this is something that's also in the backstage. Like all the DJ are very welcoming, very humble, and have to say like the way you are as a DJ, as an artist, is the crowd that you're gonna bring to your set. So either on both sides, I feel this is a family. Of course, like it's the music industry is hard and it's artistic, it's with artists. But at the end of the day, I think it's one of the best community that I've
Yeah,
dealt
even
with.
for the artists, like
Yeah.
once you're part of Anjuna, you usually never leave Anjuna because of
Yes.
the community that's built
Yeah,
around it, which
yeah.
is like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that resonates with the fan and also the artist as well.
I feel they really carefully choose the artists they're gonna work with.
Yes,
Yeah,
I can
on
see
this.
that. I can
Mhm.
see that. Yeah. How about you, Gunjan?
So for me, like I was just like talking with Isabel, like, before, like, one of the reasons, like, of course, the community, like, people were very welcoming, very respectful. Like even if you go for shows, like, everyone is really, they make sure that, they're not interfering with your private space. And even like if you're
Very respectful. crowd.
yeah,
Very,
very
yeah.
respectful crowd. And then also with the artists, like back in India, like I have attended like Armin show, like I saw 250, and then I attended Hardwell. I mean, of course, like these are like more commercial and like big artists. But then what got me into it is also like every Anjuna artist, like when they complete their set, they make sure that they're coming on the floor, meeting their fans.
I just saw that with Anime, who was just
Yeah.
here on
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah,
That's
And
and
I
unique.
saw a lot of, I mean, it was more hardcore fan base for that set. They had the meetup before too, which looked great. Like,
yeah.
it's quite unique to Anjuna. Like
Yeah.
this,
yeah,
this
like
pyramid
it's
elements,
always
yeah.
like common on the Anjuna artists where
Yep.
you see a meetup right before, you see
Yeah.
the same regular faces every single time, which
Yes.
is lovely. And then for anime set too, it's like there was a lot of events going on that day, so like everyone's there is really passionate about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
artist. And I saw him come down, take a picture with
Yeah,
everyone. It was
exactly,
so cool to see.
Mhm.
exactly. So for me, I was like, I mean, like for me, it was really special because like I could connect, I can speak to the artist and like get his thoughts, and like it felt like okay, like for them, like they care about their fans. I mean, not no offense to others, like of course everyone.
It's
You
the
know,
vibe
Yeah.
they
It's
curate.
the
The
vibe,
vibe,
yeah,
It's very
yeah.
family and
Yeah.
very human and very humble.
So why do
Mhm.
you think at that time? We can just speculate. Why do you think they shifted to progressive and changed it group therapy? Did they already have like? I'm trying to remember because I started raving like 2009, 2010, right? That's
Yeah.
when I started raving, and that switch happened like right after. But I never saw them beyond there. I never
Mhm.
went to an event of theirs. But I guess what do you guys think they saw that they needed to switch to something called group therapy?
I think and I have spoken to a lot of people who are into like Anjuna scene. I think for me, it's like they had already built amazing community where people automatically they were like really welcoming, and because of the musicality again, like we always talk about, like when it's like Anjuna's song, it has like a lot of emotions and stuff like that. So I remember like when they used to do all these events, people used to come and like, it just felt like they're coming together, and there's music that's healing them, because it's like, it's just like lyrics were as such that they can relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they decided that, I mean, eventually it is like a therapy for people.
Mhm.
So why not just call it like,
Rebrand it to
Yes.
group
ABG,
therapy.
yeah, group
And at the
therapy.
same time, like changing the genre, let's say, is probably like every artist is evolving. Every artist is gonna have a journey. Like you start with a certain style and genre of music, but then your taste evolve and you listen to new thing and you. So I think any art is gonna kind of evolve at some point. You see the Army and Tiesto, they evolve their genres too.
Yeah.
So you adapt to your crowd and you want to bring also more people into like your community. So
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's my theory behind it too, is that with the progressive house blowing up, it's like, hey, we can make this still our trance thing and
Mhm.
make it progressive.
Yeah.
And change the sound, not change the sound, but like adapt the sound
Mhm.
to accommodate that.
more modern.
Yeah, more modern at that time. But it's crazy that it's still kicking. That's the one thing, because we always go back to the whole, we talk about trance a lot, but trance in the modern form is, we're hoping it comes back. As we all hope.
Yeah.
It's
But-
coming. It's coming.
it's
But
coming.
but in the current state, like it's pretty dead. Like it's hard to get people to come to a
Mhm.
trance event
I have
or a
two
138 trance
yeah,
event.
I have
for
two
sure.
vision of it, because like I've seen the scene of Montreal and I've seen the scene of Toronto. I think Montreal like trance scene is still there. I've always been there.
Well,
and,
with
like,
well, I mean, yes, but Trans Unity, which did it for
Okay,
like many years,
that's
now
it.
they ended.
Okay, there's also other reason behind. Like
Okay,
the,
that's-
the promoter is like moving to Toronto now, so it's other reasons
Ah.
behind.
Okay, okay.
So we're getting a trans unity in Toronto.
That's another question. Like I don't know. I cannot.
Resurgence, waiting for that resurgence.
coming back.
But
Interesting.
Rami, like the guy
Yeah,
that
Remy,
that's behind Monkey Business, like is one of the big promoter of trance and keep it alive in Montreal. Versus in Toronto, I feel that there was not this spirit of trance that strong. That big promoter that was there, and there's all the genres and all the more commercial things.
It's
that were
still a
around.
business. That's what we always
It's
say.
100%
too.
Exactly.
It's still a
business.
business.
Yeah.
So like a couple of the big guys like Electric Escape, Osmosis, you
Yeah.
can see they changed their. If you've been in
Yeah.
the scene for a long time,
Yeah.
you can see they changed their sound to adapt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
You want to make money at the end of the day. And
Exactly.
it was kind of the issue with TransUnity. Like people were not coming anymore.
people were
That's-
not coming. Yeah.
So there was different factors that led to that decision. But at the end of the day, like the community is still there and still living. In Toronto, I feel that it's coming back. I feel that trance is coming back.
But
so.
what we can say is the Anjuna crowd is still here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find like
Hardcore fans.
like hardcore fans. It's actually it's always an interesting thing for me to think about, because I'm like, why, like the Anjuna fans are an interesting bunch, because it seems like they only listen to Anjuna. So
Yeah,
or
they
like for
do.
the most part, they mainly go for Anjuna. They won't associate with like any other form of trance or any form of melody.
Rest-
It's like they'll literally just go to trance Anjuna events, which is always funny to see, or always interesting to say.
We can think about the demographic of those people, because they grew up with Anjuna from the 2000s, and like it's 25 years later. So I guess like the events they're gonna go, they really want to be picky. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to that event.
It's true. It
because
is an older crowd, as we always say. It is a
Don't
very
say-
older crowd.
more wise.
More matured is
Yes,
what we
exactly.
say. More matured.
Let's be politically correct.
It's funny whenever I
mm.
see a younger generation like listening to Anjuna or listening to trance, I'm just like they accelerated their EDM career quickly. That's essentially what I say. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're already in old age.
Yeah.
They've
Yes.
already gone through the ropes.
That old soul inside.
Yeah. I'm like, slow down.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's funny. Yikern, I want to ask you, because you're newer to this. So,
Yeah.
like for you still like the old classic sound.
Yes, trans classics only.
Trance classics only. I know you're
Yeah.
trance, but the Anjuna classics also hit.
Yes, also hit. Yeah.
So for you, like, what has Anjuna meant to you when you've gone to events? Like,
I like for as a newer person listening to the genre, going to Anjuna events are a breath of fresh air in terms of the emptiness of the club, not as packed, and then like it's more room to dance. People are more indulged in the genre, so talking to them, you feel the passion coming out of their mouth instantly. So and talking to other people, it's like, oh, I'm here for the party. But like when you talk to people in Anjuna places, they say that I'm here for the person. You
Yeah,
know?
Mhm.
It's different. Like the mindset, like that.
you won't get a normal call, like what is it, like a college street
Yeah.
like person coming right in for an Anjuna event. You'll
Yeah.
never get that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that little switch, you feel like there's a lot more passion, and then they can tell you a whole life story about like I've seen Bluestone like 5 or 6 times and things like that. So it's like wow, and then they can tell you like how he progressed in his sounds and things like that. So you have that whole storyline just spoken to you right there and then. Whereas for like other artists that you are interested in, if let's say you're going to the Swedish House Mafia, when you ask people, it's like, oh, yeah, Swedish House Mafia, like what is there to it, right? And then if you want to learn more about Swedish House Mafia, you have to actually read up upon it.
Yeah.
So that's like the difference between that, right? So one person is willing to tell you right off the get go, there and then, and the other one is like you kind of want to just go there and party. So that's what Anjuna has meant for me. And then, but I still listen to it, like new sounds, old sounds. I think the new Anjuna sounds is more like a song than it is a track. So it feels a little bit different, like something that I can close my eyes to and not sleep. But that's a key point. So close my eyes and not sleep.
Because it gets to a certain,
That's
it's
cool.
funny.
Yeah.
It gets to a certain point where it's almost sleep music, where you're just
Yeah.
like, this is a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
too slow.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much what I feel like about Anjuna.
Mhm.
And then I would definitely want to go to an
It's been on my bucket.
ABGT ABGT event. Yes.
Every year it comes up, and I'm like, oh man, I should really go. And I've had friends. For me personally, like when I look at Anjuna as a whole, it's the sense of community. Like I'm
Mhm.
all about sense of community, and with the podcast too. Like as we said earlier, like if I had to recommend someone to go to any event, like go to an Anjuna. Just go to an Anjuna event. You will have the most friendly people in the world there. Doesn't matter if you go alone, small group. Like the vibes will be off the chart.
Mhm.
And great
Yeah.
music.
and great music too, right?
Yeah.
It's in that sense of
Yeah.
community has always stayed,
Mhm.
even from going from trance around the world, seeing it to now. And you look at those group therapy events, and if there's any events in the years that have caused me FOMO, it is missing those ones, not traveling to it.
Yeah.
Like me
Yeah.
personally. So for me, I do feel like the sound has gone a little bit like they don't know what direction they want to go in terms of or maybe like the evolution of the progressive house sound. Like for me, peak Anjuna was like 250,
Oh
300,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Like I think COVID kind of may have like put a damper on things, at least personally. But I still know like the hardcore fans still go. And
Mhm.
the one thing I will say is I'm talking more about the beats because I wasn't into deep house at all, or like the deep sound at all. I found it a little bit too slow.
Same.
But I see the appreciation now, and as what we said earlier, I think deep is probably bigger than beats at
Yep.
this moment right
Yeah.
now
Mhm.
because the deep sound is in. Like all those
Mhm.
artists are like killing it right
Yeah.
now, which
And
is
I
crazy.
think it's again to come down to the same thing like I was just, talking about previously. It's like pandemic changed that mindset for people as well, for a lot of listeners. Because now like people would just wanna, are more inclined towards listening to like more chill music or just dance. And like now it's more about like, okay, I wanna dance, but I also wanna just have a conversation, catch up, or like,
Oh,
speak to
you see those
people.
events popping like coffee party and like
Yeah.
more loungy thing like in the bar. So yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of the vibe right now. Like
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, but for me, like also like just want to bring it up that for Anjuna, I think the way even like the community, they have all these Facebook groups or like Instagram groups where like everyone is making sure that like if an event is happening, like
People are
especially
aware.
yeah, they're
Mhm.
aware, they're making sure like they're going together or not, or even like for that matter like meeting for like for a meetups or stuff like that.
Mm.
Like I know like Colorado, LA, Anjuna, like New York family, like they all like love to do that before a show.
And
Yeah.
that's the one thing. Like we can talk about like different Facebook groups, but there is an Anjuna family in every city, major city. Like there's
Yeah.
an Anjuna in New York,
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
an Anjuna Colorado, there's an Anjuna like maybe it could be state, maybe it could be city. We have an Anjuna Toronto, there's an Anjuna Montreal.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like I think the milestone event, I'm praying the milestone event goes to Montreal because it makes the most perfect sense because they always like doing that river set is what we always say.
Yeah.
Where they go down the river for their deep set.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, can you guys please do Montreal? Because as I said, I personally I wish I traveled to like Prague. I wish I traveled to Hong Kong. Everyone who went said it was life changing. And that's another thing is like these events, I will say, are definition of life changing. We say a lot of events can be life changing, but like if you're looking for a sense of community, a sense of belonging, freedom of expression for sure in the Anjuna community because they are like they're big towards like the LGBT crowd. These events are the best, I would say.
Yeah. Especially like the one that they usually do in Gorge. Like that was like
Just
life
beautiful.
changing for me, to be honest.
Yeah, we had Arpita, our who's in the progressive scene quite a bit.
Yeah.
She soloed it, met some of the most wonderful people, and she keeps in touch with them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a family.
Essentially, it's a family. Once you're in,
yeah.
I mean, you can leave, but once you're in, you probably don't want to leave.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And
have you guys ever been to other genre type of festivals besides the under the trance the?
Yeah,
umbrella?
I have. Like back in India, like this festival like Sunburn is pretty big.
Yes.
It's like an Indian version
Mhm.
of like I wouldn't say like it's that big as like EDC or stuff like that, but like it's kind of big. So they bring all these different artists with different genres, and like even for that matter, like Ilsonic.
Mhm.
You know, it's not just trans specific or
It's all
you know,
EDM.
yeah,
It's all
Mhm.
EDM.
It's all EDM.
But they always have
Yeah.
the takeovers, like what Escapade's doing this year.
Yes.
Ilsonic, because they switched to 2 days, it's kind of harder now to do a takeover. But
Yeah.
one of the most memorable ones was 2019 Ilsonic when they had the Anjuna takeover and they had the back-to-back with like Cosmic 8, Jason Ross. I was just like, I literally
Crazy.
just stayed
Yeah.
at that stage.
I was there.
Yeah, exactly. It's
It was-
like legendary moment in
And
my mind.
I
Like,
remember-
it's imprinted in my mind.
Yeah, and I remember it was like at the end, it was like Cosmic Gate, Land Bluestone,
And
Jason
Jason
Ross,
Ross?
all
Oh.
like back to back, and I was
Yeah.
like, really? And
Yeah.
like it wasn't there, like nobody had planned. It just happened,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it was
Mhm.
crazy.
That's how generous they are, like with their music and their passion for music is like they are there for the public, and if there's an opportunity to give more, they're gonna be there. So
Yeah,
that's
because
amazing.
what I want to allude to for that question is that how is it different between that kind of like general festivals or other genre festival
Mhm.
to ABGT
yeah.
type of one?
Again, I think it's comes down to the community. Like
Yes.
people, you know, are more respectful of your space, and like even like if you're not like not feeling well, or if you're you want some water or anything, like they make sure that everyone is around, like
Safe.
they're safe,
Mhm.
feeling okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like if they don't even know you, like they'll still just come and ask like, hey, are you okay? And like if you're having a moment where like you love this track, and like if you just went solo, and like if there are people around you, they see you that I mean you're just
Yeah.
Becoming-
crying or anything
Yes.
of that sort, like
Group
they'll
therapy. Everyone,
Yeah.
no man left behind.
Yeah,
No man or
exactly.
women
Yeah,
left
yeah.
behind.
exactly.
Right?
So
You have to
Yes.
make it
Yeah.
through the set.
yeah,
And even like talking about like Escapade, like I've been twice to Escapade, so you see the Anjuna artists how they go to their public and talk to them and take pictures and everything versus other artists that are there, do their set, come
Yeah.
back.
For-
It's that
yeah.
connection that make it really
As I said, I'm
different.
gonna sell the Escapade if the festival and Junas hit different. They're just so because you have all the other stages happening, but everyone who's there is ready to listen to Anjuna, which is
Yeah.
like the most fantastic thing in the world. So
Yeah.
you get that mini like Anjuna event, like
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
which
The
is like really
takeover,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have friends literally just traveling for that day and then coming
Just-
back the next day.
Yeah.
Just because that's
That's
what-
unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
and the lineup's really good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
and you play.
Pretty sick.
Oh, you're gonna have to come
our
early.
local play, which is
Yeah.
great.
You
Yeah.
have to come early.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, it's something to go through, like, and being like I've been at Dream State, like San Francisco, also like seeing this Anjuna artists like coming together. You really see the difference between like more regular DJ that may not be part of that big family.
Yeah,
So
they're
this-
mixing a little bit more with the Anjuna crowd
Yeah.
too. With that, they usually focus more on the what we call traditional trance,
Yeah.
138 iron trance. But I've seen them also book artists like that.
Yeah.
Like even Prida, the Prida set was at that
Yes,
that
that event.
so that's
Pride is
that-
so unique.
that
in their
it is so
style.
unique. That's why it's like, oh, progressive house. What if we just say Prida is progressive house and then everything else is something different.
Pride Eye is unique. Like even I try to put Pride Eye in my set. I'm like, this is such a genre in himself. Like that's pretty hard.
I can go. I can do an entire episode on Eric Prydz.
Yeah.
He can, I can't.
I mean, I went through all 3 of his shows here
Yeah.
in Toronto.
Yes.
for
That's
that
why
reason.
he's a genius. Like people have immense respect for him because like
He's more an artist that has such a vision, like with
Yeah.
all his shows and holograms.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
great. Well,
So-
we can do another episode on that.
We mentioned the age. So the age group of the Anjuna crowd, like it's they're okay. So the slogan is all are welcome. So any age is
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
Anyone is welcome. But
7 to 27.
but we usually find it's an older bunch, right? People who've
Mm.
probably been listening to like trance elements like the 2000s. Maybe they didn't go to events like myself, but like we're all in our 30s.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had to
Old.
double check
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we've had quite a few young people on the panel. It's just
Okay.
like, it makes me feel old.
No hold. Young
But-
inside.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're all young at heart here.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see.
We're still going out to events.
Yeah, we're still
Yeah.
going out to
Yeah.
events. You'll find us at any Anjuna event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Our
yeah, the average
back end-
age. Yeah.
Our back
Back-
and body
yeah,
hurts,
back
but
end-
we do need more events.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what? I will say, we mentioned day parties. Anjuna day parties, the best. Like, it is like the best sound for day parties.
yes.
especially like if it's like,
Like-
sunset.
Sunset.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
When EI does their deep lineup, like I'm expecting it to come this time too. It's
Mhm.
always amazing to go to the deep sets there
Deep
at,
set,
Yeah.
yes.
at EI. Always fun.
Yeah.
Always
They're
fun.
Always.
gonna have one this year. Do you
They,
think
they
so?
usually have one like every year, and I think Montreal's the day before.
before,
Mm,
yes.
probably.
So it's most likely gonna be announced that they're gonna do a takeover.
right.
Mm.
But you mentioned the Anjuna Facebook group.
Yeah.
So when did you? So okay, what's your history with that? Because I always see you
Yeah.
posting, and
Yeah.
you do a wonderful job.
I try. I mean, to be honest, I've gotten a little slow, but I'm gonna start off again. But yeah, I mean, kudos to Nas. He was the one who started off with this group on Facebook, and it was actually just how it happened with you guys for the podcast. Like one night, he was just sitting, and he's like, you know what? Like maybe I should just create a group on Facebook for AnjunaFamily, and like if people show up, and then people started joining, and then
When was this?
oh, I think it was back in like 2019.
Oh, really? So it's more recent. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. And then Georgia got in, and then both of them, like, I met Nas in one of the events, and he's like, hey, like, because I used to like post a lot at that point of time, and then Nas approached and he's like, hey, do you want to be like co-admin for the page? I was like, sure, yeah, why not? Like, why would I say no?
Mm.
And then I mean, things started, and then I know like we at that point of time we just were trying to at least increase the engagements just so that people get to know more about it, and at least they know that they have this space where if they are going solo or like they just want to know about the events happening here in the city, they know where to come at, and that was like the page, right? So we started like posting a lot of events. Like the moment we used to get to know about it, we used to just make post it just so that people were aware. And I mean, and I think back in like last year, like I think starting last year, like last year, we started approaching all these artists just to ask them if they can do like a pre-meetup or
It's been working.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like every deep or like beats artists that come in, they usually agree, and it's always
Yes.
depending on
It's
where it
very
is.
chill.
Yeah.
They're always there.
Yeah, until unless like they don't have a busy schedule.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
which is again very respectful. Yeah,
Mhm.
of course, like and maybe sometimes like they have a long flights and they just want to catch up on the sleep.
Yep.
But if they are available, definitely they make sure that
And one
they're
thing
gonna
I
come.
could say is like Anjuna labels, people that are working there are watching those groups. So
Yeah.
they get a
Mm.
look on this and what's
Like they're
happening.
watching the Anjuna Toronto group, or
Yeah.
they're watching what the artists are doing.
The Anjuna family
Oh, okay,
groups.
they
Like, they
just
really
want-
they take in account like all the feedback and everything that's being said.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I
'Cause- yeah.
Yeah.
It's consistent throughout all these major cities, because there's probably an Anjuna London, there's probably an Anjuna
Yeah,
Paris. It's
exactly,
crazy.
exactly. So
Yeah.
they want to be sure like everybody has a great
And every
experience.
market's different too.
Yeah.
As what
Yeah.
we've noticed, right?
Mhm.
What's popular in London may not be the sound that resonates with people here, even
Yes.
within the Anjuna or Anjunabeats category. So
Yes.
it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
Mhm.
yeah, and I think not that we are part of it, but I know like there's another WhatsApp group that is part of it, which includes all the admins and co-admins from different these Facebook pages, like from different cities,
Mm.
just to so that everybody knows like if something's happening. And I know a lot of people who work for the label, like they're a part of, or some of them are like the admins for these pages as well.
It makes sense because
Yeah.
you want to have the consistent vibe. You don't
Yeah.
want to have like Anjuna Toronto is like a loving pace, and all of a sudden New York is like everything's on fire and
Yeah,
everyone's
pretty much.
attacking each other.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You want to make sure
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
all the groups are regulated the
Yeah,
same.
but
So it
I
makes
would
sense.
have to tell you this, like it's been a while that I've been admin of this page, and not even once that I've seen or we have been in a situation where we had to delete any post or any comment.
You should see the trance one.
That's what something else.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not.
Yeah.
I'm a little over exaggerating, but there's a lot of discussion. On
Okay.
in
Oh,
the
okay.
trance
People
one.
are
Yeah.
passionate.
I find the AnjunaFamily one. There's not really much of a discussion.
Yeah.
Usually, it's more of everyone's positive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sharing and enthusiastic.
Everyone's
and everything.
positive,
Yeah.
like-
Exactly.
So-
So yeah, it's been going great so far. And we hope that the label keep growing and we
Yeah.
have more stuff to just post on that page. But I think when I joined, we were just like 200, 300 people, and now it's like more than 1,000.
couple
So
thousand.
Right.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, you can find it on Facebook, guys.
yeah,
If you search
Fantastic.
AnjunaFamily Toronto,
yeah,
Mhm.
you'll find it.
yeah,
there. That's a lovable group.
yeah,
As I said,
definitely.
if you're
Yes.
looking for a change of pace from TRC conversations, like the ones I keep
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
just join the AnjunaFamily
Yeah.
one for more sane conversations.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Really.
So we mentioned Anjunabeats versus Anjunadeep. I guess, have you guys seen, like, what preference do you guys have? Like, are you guys still Beats fan at heart, or do you guys lean more towards Deep?
No, I've switched.
You've
like
switched?
for me,
You switched to
Yes,
Deep?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it
Interesting.
also. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it also has to do with like, cause like I don't hear a lot of tracks coming out of Anjuna Beats. I mean they're still coming, but like it's not that frequent as compared to Deep.
That's my
Deep
that's,
is getting
Mm.
bigger
that-
and bigger.
that's my
for sure.
thing. I'm like, I don't really have a memorable Beats track, to be honest. I can't really think of a memorable Beats track that some of my favorite artists have released over the years. Like, I just literally cannot think of one that's been like,
You feel that the promotion is not that big because Elon, I've realized like 3-4 tracks last year, and
And
they're
it's-
getting big. So it's not promoted in the same way, I
yeah,
guess.
that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I can name all the old Elon tracks, but
And
some of
then-
the recent ones, I'm just like, I don't. Other than the
still beats at heart.
and I'm still Beats at
Yeah.
heart too,
Yeah,
right?
same.
Because for
But
me,
Deep-
it's still what I
Mhm.
grew up with and what I resonate towards because I can feel that trance element in it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, I don't know, this is where I thought like maybe
There's a bit of
I
shift.
definitely
Mhm.
agree. I think Deep is bigger, and you can see that with their curated events where the Deep Day. So when Above and Beyond does their ABGT of like grand events, now they scaled it back to every 100. I think they're doing now. They're no longer doing every 50, but the Deep Day is now its own entire thing, and it's just as big, which is like crazy.
It's 50-50 now.
Yeah,
it's
literally
yeah,
50-50.
So.
Whereas
Yeah.
before,
And they are promoting like more like minority kind of DJs too. So they are really open to that, like a culture of like having people that LGBTQ also. So
Mhm.
it's one of the rare label where you don't have like white male DJing kind of thing,
Mm.
which make it like even more welcoming. I think more inclusive to the
and
people that
that was
listen
a
to the
big
music.
problem in the DJ world because I
Mm.
remember Spencer Brown released an article too when he came out. I'm gonna say he came out, but it was like at that time sometimes it's taboo to say that on a label, but Anjuna was very welcoming and all that,
Yep.
and that all their artists
Mhm.
reflect that too
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they have a lot of LGBT like part of the community, which is
Yeah.
like great. To
Or
see.
even just women like
Yeah, women in
Amy
general.
Wiles, like she's growing, she's amazing.
Yeah,
so,
she's amazing.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's pretty great to see that positive, like inclusive community. Because even like in the world of DJ, well, I'm sorry guys, but there's a lot of guys. It's a boys' club kind
Yeah,
of
it
thing.
is.
Yeah.
It
So
is.
as a woman, I'm happy to see that kind of thing. At the same time, I'm not for positive discrimination. I think like getting a place for them to have their voice is also important. So
Yeah, equal
Mm.
playing field and
Yeah.
make their voices be heard.
Mhm.
Like, that's-
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just you get
Yeah.
that in the community. I love
Yeah,
that.
I,
Yeah.
I really love like what they're doing, especially with Amy Miles and like Nuri as
Yeah,
well. Like
yeah.
I
Mhm.
am like I love the musicality that Nuri brings, and it's very similar to Andrew Bear. And I know one of the I think it was one of the interviews, or like it was one of the podcasts, like where she said like she has been a huge fan of Andrew Bear, and like her like taste that comes is from him. So but like yeah, I mean she's blowing up. She's also blowing up.
Andrew Beer, musical wizard.
Yes.
His
Oh,
tracks
yeah.
over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a soundscape. Crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So good. So I guess we would still consider Anjuna more of a niche, like that umbrella, more of a niche style. It's still not mainstream, or is it?
No, I wouldn't
No.
say mainstream.
That's not mainstream. It's the taste that you need to develop, but I think everybody that
You don't
like
find it right away. Is essentially what I look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you think you will ever go into mainstream?
I don't think so.
I
They like to be unique.
think if it was, it already would have, and it didn't.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
this is where I still think that the popularity of Anjunabeats has stagnated a little bit, but Deep has taken off. But like I think everyone knows Above and Beyond. Like I think it's just like Armin territory, right? Where
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Above and Beyond, it's
Great
like
DJs.
we
Mhm.
like to say it's the pushing the scene forward. Like even though Armin's coming up, but even though Armin has gone towards mainstream playing drum and bass in his sets, he has dragged a lot of mid-tier artists that would have never gotten an opportunity through his
Mhm.
label or in general through festival lineups.
Yeah.
Because he's the forefront and pushing the scene
Yeah.
forward to the general masses. Above and Beyond has done the same. Like them playing Budweiser, it's
Mhm.
pretty big for a trance artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trance,
Mhm.
I said trance
Mhm.
artist.
Thank you.
Not progressive.
That's for sure. And they are dragging with them like this community of DJs and like giving the chance to younger DJs and from minority DJs to blow up too. So this is a great place, like great scene.
Mm.
But this comes with all the complexity of being in a label. So
Mhm.
we're gonna come after that.
Yeah.
So what era of Anjuna in general, it beats deep, what do you guys resonate with most?
Well, me, I'm very young. I'm still a baby. So like the past few years, 3, 4, 5 years were the most for me because I was into those events and everything. So that's what resonate more with me. But I also like what they did in the past and all the remix that are doing more modern of their classics. I love this.
And
So,
yeah, we've all noticed the trend of them incorporating some of the classics. Like you're always gonna play Sun and Moon. They're always gonna play like
yeah, of course.
like Satellite.
Satellite.
Yeah, Satellite
But
is a
but
classic, yeah.
lately there was that one time where they were like playing literally like 3 classics at the end. And you're just like their 600 set was like that too, where
Yeah.
the back half was legit just classic
Yeah.
that they just redid,
Yeah.
which was like,
Remix of
but
all.
it's what the people wanted, I guess.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
the people
Yes.
wanted. And I think that's
Yeah.
what it comes back to my whole notion of that the sound is getting a little bit, and people kind of want to hear the classics again.
Yes,
Yeah.
So maybe
Mhm.
it'll resurge with a new sound as they.
pretty much.
It takes time to develop a new sound or like see what's out there and get data. It's all
Yes.
about data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about data.
Yeah.
How about you? Ben?
So for me, it has to be the Common Grounds album. Because I mean, again, I have my personal reasons. Like again, it was back in 2015 where like my mom was struggling, and then I remember like while I used to drive from hospital to work, that's all I used to just listen to, and every track. I mean, it was just especially like Peace of Mind. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
It's-
I want to listen to
for
it.
you,
like-
is the emotional connection at that time
Yeah.
that resonated with you the most. For you, that's the era that defined.
Exactly. I mean, it's still like for me. I mean, it's something that everything like all. I cannot just put it into specific era. Like for me, it's like everything has been amazing. But that's something that I kind of resonate. But then even like the new stuff that they're coming out with,
Mm.
I mean, I still love.
So your taste has grown
Yeah.
in that sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you also mentioned that you evolve your sound from the beats to the deep.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
That's true.
And I know for us,
Yeah.
no secret, it's
Classic,
the classics. It's
yeah.
the classic.
Classic,
sound.
classic. Okay.
It's Ocean Lab, live and breathe.
Yeah, Ocean
Lab.
Lab, Amsterdam, and whatnot.
I
yeah.
have a funny story where you mentioned, well, we'll get to the Common Ground because I want to show everyone.
Oh, okay.
The Common Ground thing, but where their most recent Rebel, they played a Rebel set. I think it was
Who did?
Above and Beyond.
2018.
No, it was one more after COVID. It was after COVID. It was a
Oh.
Rebel set. I forget if it was the one.
Was there a Rebel set after COVID, Above and Beyond?
I forget if it was the Solaris one.
That
or
was before pandemic.
that was
Yeah.
before pandemic.
because I
Yeah.
would have known.
No, there was
I
a
started
No, it
after
was the
COVID.
January set. Oh, I think it
Oh,
was
I
after
think
COVID.
maybe you're saying because after pandemic, I think or during pandemic they came at Cabana.
No, I wasn't at the Cabana set. They did another set. I remember it was at Rebel. I forget the time frame. This is the problem with doing a live recording. But I remember it was the time where they were playing like couple classics, and for me, it's all about the classics. Like,
that was Solaris.
That was Solaris.
Yes.
Okay, and they played pretty much one of my favorite songs, Miracle.
Oh.
Like in my lifetime, I did not think I would ever hear that song live. And I remember when it was playing, it's getting me emotional too right now. I remember it was playing and people could see the emotion in my eye and I was like getting hugged because I was like, I never thought I would hear that song live. And it was just so like beautiful in that moment. And I think that's what a lot of people resonate with.
Yeah.
It's like that emotion. So it's like.
So how to make you emotional is miracle.
Yeah. It's a miracle to do that. Yeah.
Well, when I don't expect to hear it and I'm just like, and I'm the only one around me who knows what the fuck is going on. It's like, oh my god, I'm like frozen.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah. So one thing we kind of touched on this, but it's funny that we say that the Anjuna people only listen to Anjuna, but they don't really listen to any other trance.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Like, do you find like they don't mix and match?
No, I think they do.
You think they do?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Do you think it's Anjuna that Anjuna does, but the trance people don't?
Ooh,
that's true.
Because it's funny because there's two separate groups. I say that there's Toronto Trance Family and there's Anjuna Family, and I know a bunch of Anjuna people who only listen to Anjuna and they don't listen to any other form of trance. Kind of weird to
I
think
think it
about.
depends on the people at the end of the day, like.
But it feels too cultish.
You are a nerd, like because he was describing the Anjuna family. They describe them as a bunch of nerds that knows everything about like the personal life of all the DJs.
But the thing is that you get that in trance too. You do
Yes,
get that in trance too. It's just that I feel like we also know people who are only listening to Anjuna, and then that we also know people who just listen to trance and always critique everything else. Like, this sounds like trance. That one sounds like trance.
They shit on the Anjuna. They essentially shit on the Anjuna.
Yeah. Oh, you have trance that shit on Anjuna.
Yeah. And it's just it's interesting because we like both. Like we resonate with both, but it's just funny seeing the two different groups because I'm in also chat groups that are like Anjuna family or like Anjuna something. But there's also a chat group which we'll talk about another label. This never happened. I'm like, why aren't you guys in the same chat group? Because it's technically falls under the progressive umbrella.
Yeah.
It's like, why is there two separate chat groups for Anjuna and this never happened?
Yeah, it's like you like soccer and one is Manchester and the other one is Liverpool.
I
kind of thing, you know?
I guess that's
I guess a good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I have a theory behind it. For Anjuna, like the way Above and Beyond and other artists have done it is like they leave some kind of like Easter eggs. So keep it and just it's just like how Taylor Swift does. I mean, I'm sorry to use that example, but that curiosity that people have, like, you know, I mean, that just builds onto it, and people they just make it as a religion because like now it's like, you know, they would just want to know what's next.
I love that you said that because that's exactly why those milestone events are so interesting and why everyone tunes in, because I find when you listen to those, that's what's defining Anjuna for the next, because essentially you want whoever's on the label, you want your track played by Above and Beyond at that set.
Yeah.
And you know you're going to send them an ID. So it's just amazing. Like you always hear that there's been a couple ones like off the top of my head, like Quicksand. When they debuted Quicksand, like you're just like, wow, this is like the old Anjuna sound, and it's like just beautiful. One that I remember vividly was when they premiered Rivieri. I forget, at Prague.
Yeah.
Riverie.
Yeah, Riverie.
I don't know why I'm like butchering this out.
No,
Riverie.
Yeah.
And I remember reading the comments on like the Reddit, and everyone's just like, Riverie, like beautiful. Just like just absolute emotion in that track, and debuting it there was like beautiful.
So I have like two stories for that. Like even with these milestone events, like I remember, especially when the pandemic set, so everyone was laughing because like it's like now it has become a trend. Like in their milestone event, if they play Amsterdam, somebody has to be talking over it. So it's a funny thing, and like that's exactly what Tony did. And I still remember, like, you know, everyone started like laughing at, you know, putting comments in the chat that okay, yeah, the trend is still alive. Somebody has to talk when Amsterdam gets played, and same is the case with like I think one of the events when Frankie Wah was introduced. like he just blew up because like everyone went nuts. Like nobody knew like who is this guy, and like
yeah.
he's
Mhm.
just standing behind Jody waiting for a set. And I think everyone I remember in the chat was like, like, is he one of the artists? Like, or who's this guy? Maybe he's like, a photographer or something. And then he came and like his set was by far like, I mean, it was the best.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The wah.
Yeah,
That's what we
the
say.
wah.
The wah.
The wah.
The
Yeah.
wah.
Yeah.
Which Amsterdam remix are you? Smith
Ooh.
of Pleasure or
Yeah.
Super?
Nice. Of course, it has to be Smith.
You have to go
It's a
Super
pleasure.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out the song Amsterdam, guys.
Yeah.
Like, check out all the remixes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably one of the best songs
Yeah.
ever
Mhm.
ever made.
100%.
Ever made.
You guys are very absolute. Best song ever made. Can you give some space to other songs? No.
we should have programmed it. We have the ability to play songs. We should have just been like had a
Yeah.
section of
Yeah,
like
you
songs.
should. You should.
I mean, realistically, we played your guys' songs. That's what we should have
Yeah.
done. But maybe a side.
Next
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
So do you guys like the direction Anjuna went in general? I know for you, Isabel, it's more recent. So
It's more recent. What I'm seeing is interesting. I think they are going for a different angle than any other labels. Does it like the right direction? I don't know. Like,
I think they're in discovery phase too
Yeah,
right now for
they are
like their
testing
sound.
things. Like at the end of the day, all the people that I've met from the label that are working with them are artists first, music lover first. So that might taint a bit like the business side of things. But I think it bring like a very more interesting and more genuine way of doing things. So if people want something authentic and genuine, go to Above and Beyond and Anjunabeats.
Yeah.
Anjunadeep.
I agree. Anjuna Explorations, probably one of the most popular events right now. Anjunadeep Exploration.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In Albania, which is like a cool location.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like a cool location. But
Mm.
I know a bunch of people who go for that one, and they like saying it's like one of the best events they've ever gone to.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
like really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we talked about This Never Happened. So moving on to other labels with the same sound, like I find like I do find they do mix a little bit, but it's just interesting to see the different communities. But
Mhm.
Lane 8's coming here to Rebel. What is it? June 7th? I think that's the
I think
date.
so. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but also a unique crowd, unique vibe, and the Lane 8. I guess he is what we call progressive house
Yeah.
in that
Mhm.
landscape.
Mhm.
I mean, all the artists he brings to have influence from the Anjuna sound, but it's funny that they never mingle or they
Mhm.
never mix. It's just their own curated sound for what it is.
But
But-
you need to understand how artists build a label. Usually it's because they have their own vision. Like even
Yeah.
artists from Anjuna have thought about building their own label because they want to transpire their own vision, artist vision, and so on. So when you come to a label, you can understand that maybe some universe doesn't mix. So I'm not shocked by listening to that. I just like think that people may have like need a more open mind on things. But it makes sense like Lane 8 have his own label and Anjunabeats doesn't collide
Yeah,
necessarily.
interesting. Even though they pretty much pull from the same, I guess, demographic and
Aspect.
also the same
Yeah.
sound. It's just different origins. Because I know
Mhm.
Lane 8's a family man. I know he's
Yeah.
mentioned that a bunch, and he loves to curate the no camera policy and be one
Yeah.
with the dance floor. So that's
Yeah.
his version of group therapy in
Yes.
terms of be one with the music, which is like
Right.
Yeah.
really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A couple other ones that are you mentioned that too about like how they're going to Esteva in his colorized label is like popping off like
Yes.
crazy.
Mhm.
And I think that is also under definition of progressive house.
Yep.
But I guess it's the origin of that is just interesting to why he wanted to do that, right? But I know This Never Happened. So like I mentioned the two chat groups. Like there's an Anjuna chat group and the This Never Happened one. But it seems like they don't mix songs in between. But
Yeah.
the colorized stuff is all over the This Never Happened
Yes.
one. So I
Yeah.
guess it follows that sound that Lane 8's curating, which is kind of interesting because Esteva's
Okay, yep.
released stuff on Anjuna.
Yep.
Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it,
It's so weird to think about.
Mhm.
And a couple others, I guess, like John Digweed too,
Yeah.
with his minimalistic bedrock records. But
Mhm.
is there any labels that have meant a lot to you guys in this umbrella of progressive?
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning melodic techno. That's a whole nother.
Yeah,
that's
no,
a
for
whole-
me,
that's a whole
like
nother thing.
to be honest, I'm a big fan of Colorize.
Yeah.
And also because like just what you just mentioned, like there's an artist called Clur. His musicality or like kind of tracks that he comes with is very similar to what Ben Boomer
Mhm.
comes
Yeah.
with.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think they were part of like enhanced music. I'm not sure. I can be wrong, but like it's the same thing again, like the way the emotional side of the tracks that they release, it's very similar to Anjuna, but I mean, of course, they still have their own set of uniqueness to it per se.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. But it's it seems like, I guess if it makes sense, they start their own but a lot of
Yeah.
times it's like resonate with the sound. Community's already there.
Yeah.
Might as well
Pretty
branch
much.
out.
Mhm.
So speaking of our Toronto scene, which we love very much. It's meant a lot to us.
Yes.
We talk about AnjunaFamily Toronto, right? And then we talk about This Never Happens too. Like the community is very strong here, you guys, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And passionate.
Yeah.
How have you guys? Isabel, for you, like compared to Montreal, what would you say like big difference, or if there is any difference?
I would say Montreal community into the trance scene is way more present. Like you have the Sonic event, you have the Picnic Electronics. So this have been established like a long time ago, and I feel that Toronto is getting that trend. They understand that the electronic scene is getting bigger and bigger, and you have more space into the electronic scene overall, like not just trance overall. So yeah, I feel like Montreal was more like the whole soul or roots, and it's coming to Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Nice. Well, how would we rank in terms of North America, you think, for the Anjuna scene?
Hmm. I think Anjuna is well implemented, like New York, San Francisco, San Diego, those events. Montreal is one of those hubs. Toronto is coming to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do get a
I
lot
think-
of artists. Like we
Yeah.
do get a lot of these artists, which is like crazy. And
Mm.
like right now, I'm looking at the summer schedule, and like you got people doing rooftop parties.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
more
got
and more.
people doing like it goes with
Mm.
that vibe, which is like really cool.
Toronto has a strong like hip hop culture, so
Yes.
it's
Mhm.
hard to detach from that and bring new people. But it's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It's
Yeah.
coming.
Speaking-
Yes.
We say that too, but we have noticed that like you look at Veld and their
Yep.
curated lineups. They used to have the hip hop, and now it's like slowly phased out because
Yeah.
you can't really mix the two crowds.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still there, but I find that now the separation has happened where more shifts. You look at department.
I was about to say
Mhm.
that.
The shift in how the layout is now more modern and more EDM focused than it is the
Yeah.
Hip hop.
hip hop,
Yeah.
which is what Toy Box was when
Yes.
they
Yeah.
rebranded.
Mhm.
So the shift is there, which is why I think we're seeing an increase in popularity, especially with a lot of these the Anjunadeep, the Anjuna sounds, all these different labels, which is like cool to see.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned a bunch. One of the big players in Toronto, Osmosis, has
Mhm.
been here, pretty much lives and breathes the prog scene,
Yeah.
Yes.
and he's been killing it for all these years. Loyal following as well,
Yes.
which is another thing, is like not just the music, the Anjuna sound, but there's an Oz following, which is like cool to
Mhm.
see over the
He's-
years, especially how he shifted. But you just know when you go to an Oz event, you're gonna get like the most wonderful people there. And yeah, it resonates with the Anjuna crowd, which is really cool.
Yeah.
There's been a couple other ones like Puzzles.
Yeah, I
coming
was just
up.
about to mention like Puzzles, like Asif. Like he's been, I mean, he's a big Anjuna fan himself, and like he tries to, bring as many like Anjuna artists that he can.
But he's also adapted a bit more of the melodic side, melodic techno side.
Yeah, but like
Mhm.
just how Isabel mentioned, at the end of the day, it's like it's a business, right?
You
And
need to sell.
everybody just needs to make money.
So-
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
even like Identity is another one with Grand Bazaar when they're
Yeah.
putting stuff there. Electric Escape throughout its history too has floated with trance, has floated with the Anjuna sound. In
Yeah.
fact, I think they're the ones who did anime,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
they're the ones
who
with
did anime.
Embrace. Yeah,
embracing
Yeah.
them. Yeah, the partnership on that. Like,
Yeah.
even they. Yeah, and then Inc obviously has like
yeah.
Above and Beyond on their side.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
with them.
I remember like when I moved here. For me, it was like Escape, bringing all these artists. A lot
Yeah.
of them.
yeah, a lot of the
especially, like,
trance, a lot of the progressive. It was
Yeah.
Electric
Yep.
Escape, and
Mhm.
they've obviously shifted their sound to modern. It's like I like to think of Jason Ross. They have to go more to the melodic side. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so trance is everywhere. They just had to adapt.
Yeah.
which is funny to see. I guess with this too, the interesting point is the rise of melodic techno. I guess we will touch a bit on melodic techno because I guess the influence. I guess when you talk to a lot of people, the old melodic techno sound is nothing like the new age.
No.
And like the old is like more like on the Anjuna and the deep side, I would say, where it's like with the way the sound
It
is
was
within
progressive. I
Yeah,
would say.
we're more progressive.
Yep.
And now it's more what would we say more melodic techno is this these days?
It depends on the label. If it is Afterlife, then it's more hype.
Mm.
I would say.
So it's like more like on the festival big
Yeah,
in that sense.
I would say so. That's my take. But I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just more bass. Like even the melodies that we have for melodic techno, they're more bass intense. and like all these tabs. I mean, I know for sure like the concept, like at least for the bass, like the rolling bass, that came from trance, because like it's exactly like that, but just a slower version of it. And then but like the leads and the like the melody, it's like more, it's there, but it's like it's very aggressive and like
Mm.
very bass focused,
Mhm.
that just you know brings that energy, I would say, into you. Like if you, but yeah, like you guys mentioned, like it's still like more big room kind of bass,
Yeah.
but
I think this is
Yeah.
why we mentioned BPM again. This is why we think like trance heads will not like the Anjuna sound, because it all comes down to BPM. It's just
Yes.
too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's essentially it's just
exactly.
too slow.
Pretty much.
It's like, oh no. Because we even say we joke sometimes it's like sleep music when it gets even slower, and you're just like, how can you listen to this in a club? Even I have that take sometimes too.
Yeah.
Where I like a lot of progressive artists. I love a lot of some deep stuff. I'm like, some stuff is too deep. That's what I say.
Yeah.
It's like it's that it's going back to like your sleep pattern, your deep sleep. I'm like, this is too deep of a
Yeah.
that especially like it's 1 a.m. at night and I'm listening to this. I'm just like, maybe not. This
It's great for opening.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great for opening, set the room, and bring the people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then after that, you need something a bit more
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
Let's put a hard techno.
Yeah.
So for new, if you want to introduce a new person into the scene, would you take that person, him or her, to a Anjuna show or a trance show?
Anjuna for me.
Anjuna too, yeah.
I would even say
Really.
Anjuna.
Because there's so much variety, like between the deep and the beats, that they can find something they love and go back to it. Versus trance is like high BPM, like not everybody like the big boom boom. At the end, when you're into EDM, you're gonna come to the techno part. Everybody else-
Everyone, all
everybody
roads
else-
lead to techno.
Yes.
That's
Say
it.
all roads
saying.
lead to techno,
That is
yes.
legit the saying. All roads
Yes.
lead to techno.
But yeah, the Anjunabeats, I think you have this spectrum of music that everybody can relate to at some point. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So before we close off this episode, I want to show the audience
Yeah.
the
Okay.
flag.
Yeah.
So we talked about Common Ground,
Yeah.
which was one of their Above Beyond's last album, technically, and
Yeah.
now they have a new one coming out,
Yeah.
which is called. They don't have a name. We don't have a name, do we?
Yeah. Bigger than all of us.
Is that
Or
the actual
something
name
of
or is that the
yeah.
tour name?
No, it's the album name as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. What I love about the AnjunaFamily, they always have like people, like the fans are always doing like some things. Like
Yeah, I just wanted to show this as well.
the
Like all
fans-
these.
We'll pass this around.
yeah,
so
like-
you can just see the
Yes.
passion.
Yeah,
in the
like
Anjuna
thank you.
fans.
these
Oh,
are
that's really
these
great.
are all the wristbands that I've received from
Yes.
different people,
Great.
different events, and like they're just shared.
This is a 500 one right here.
Yeah, and I'm wearing this one. Like it says AnjunaFamily worldwide.
I
And
forgot
this
to
is
wear
from
mine.
Texas.
I mentioned it earlier. I have an actual Elon Bluestone one that someone gave me too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I have
Yeah,
it, and
yeah.
I totally forgot to wear it.
And then not just bracelet, like they do things, you know, like those
candies?
candies
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
everything. They have like
Yeah.
people are doing their
Especially
own
in North
thing.
America, they
Yes.
embrace it, and you see these
Yeah.
all over. Like,
Yes,
everyone
all over
knows.
the stickers.
Yeah.
Everyone
yes.
knows the iconic Anjuna.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Anjuna
Yeah.
logo.
Is it like 3D printing?
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is really-
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
it was given to me by one of
That's
like
great.
the fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Is his
definitely
name
3D
Thor?
printed.
No.
Because he always, our friend Thor always wears
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, he wears this as a necklace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
necklace
yeah.
thing.
I
and-
think one of this was given to me by John. I'm not sure if you guys know. Like he's also part of like AnjunaFamily.
Mhm.
This was
When he
given
said
by-
John, I thought John Dick, but it wasn't. It's not him, right?
No,
No,
no. No.
John Digweed is the minimalist.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that makes
Yeah.
no sense. Yeah.
when you start calling DJ just by their first name, you're like,
Yeah.
But yeah, Gunjan's gonna reveal the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you need help?
This is
Uh,
this
yes,
is what
yes,
this is what we mean by
I,
like, going to.
I will do the commentary. You can hold
Okay.
the flag.
This is what we mean by like what I meant when you go to a Anjuna show. You get to see something
Oh,
like this.
come more towards the center, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Come more towards the center. And you can lift
Yeah,
it up.
I'll
So you can see this. Together we are AnjunaFamily worldwide. And you can see you have the Indian flag based on Gunjan's heritage, Canadian flag, and the American flag. Because I think you mentioned your cousin,
My brother.
your brother is
Yeah.
American, like
Yeah.
living in America.
Yeah.
So this is like their joint flag, and you can see all these signatures of artists who are willing to sign it. Because whenever you look at an Anjuna event or an Anjuna festival, you always see unique flags. Because in the end, you are together with
Right.
everyone, right?
Yeah.
So the statement resonates. You'll have people come up to you with the flag too, just wanting to like take a picture with it, probably most
Yeah,
likely, or
yeah.
like anything. But it comes back to his heritage and his upbringing, and you could see in the center, if you didn't notice it, you can see the Common Ground logo right in the center
Yeah.
with the flags all around.
Yep.
So
The
cool.
union of it.
You get this so much in the community. It's just beautiful to see.
Yeah,
And it is worldwide.
And like the funny part is like me and my brother, he has a replica of this flag, and so like both of us we do carry it to the events if we are going together. But the signs that he has and the signs that I have are way too different.
Yeah. Are you competing who has the most?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
Oh, Isabel, you probably
Oh, yeah,
moving a
sorry.
bit- moving a little bit. Awesome. So I guess we've talked about it a bit, but where do you guys think the scene is gonna head? And anything you guys see maybe that might change the Anjuna sound, or do you think there's like anything?
I think they're probably gonna get influenced, of course, by the bigger one and the more commercial one. Like any artist want to get more popular, but at the end of the day, like it comes to the community, and I think the challenge they have is to bring new blood. I would say to continue
Yeah.
the legacy.
Yeah.
But
That's what we always say about the trance scene too, because
Yes.
just like we always joke that it was popping, and then COVID's like, oh, this is my way out, and then
Yeah.
everyone retired per se.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have all these old faces. I just had a conversation with like a bunch of friends, and they were pulling a picture from like Brian Kearney set in 2014,
Oh wow.
and they're like, yeah, half these people either had kids or retired. It's just
Yeah.
like
really.
it's
And like the way they are doing is more genuine and authentic, but we are in the era, unfortunately, of social media, and we see that as DJs, like you need to have the numbers of followers and you need to be out there. So it's just a question like how they shift about it. Like big DJ like do also that shift to social media and all that game. So how do you get professional in a way in social media to get your name
social
out
media
there?
is everything right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
unfortunate.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's unfortunate.
Mhm.
It's like you could have the best product in the world, but if your social media game is weak, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the marketing.
all about marketing. And
Yeah.
especially with this new, we could say it's the ADHD generation.
Yeah.
So somehow you have to sell trance to an ADHD generation, or like the Anjuna sound to an ADHD generation. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
kinda
is.
hard.
because you need to listen to the song to get into it.
Yeah.
Like you have this big.
That's why we
breakdown
always say
and-
you'll discover it. It won't be your first choice, but you'll eventually discover the sound.
Yes.
And then you'll leave.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
go to techno.
Yeah.
Come to us.
Yeah.
Come to us.
Come
We have
to us.
cookies. Come to us.
Yeah.
You guys have any final social plugs you guys want to do, Isabel? Any?
Social plugs.
Yeah, social, like anything. We talked about
Um,
your Escapade thing. Anything you
Yeah,
want to promote?
Escapade is coming end of June. I may have a couple of other shows. One that's announced is like I'm gonna finish closing Sarah the Baron with at Nomad on May 31st
Nice.
with my great friend
Yes.
Trek.
Wow.
So I'm very excited about it.
Oh yeah, we're
this
going.
This episode, yes, we are.
Yeah.
This episode will be out after that, but we will promote it for
Yeah.
before
Thank-
that time. But
thank
we
you
have a
very
bunch of
much.
friends playing that event too.
Yes.
Somehow it worked
It's-
out. It's just like, oh, I know like
King-
half the lineup.
Yeah.
King and Queen events
Actually-
are getting bigger and bigger.
Oh,
Shout out to King and Queen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, it will be my first with them, so I'm very excited about it. Then maybe other shows by the time Escapade is coming. So, finger crossed. Thank you.
Awesome. And you, Kenjin?
For me, I'm playing next Friday at Bibliotech as a part of Departure Festival from 1 to 2. And then for now, that's what I have. And but in the month of July, like I recently signed 2 of my tracks with Ava Recordings. So that will be getting
Congrats.
in July. Thank you. Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
amazing.
Well, thanks for coming on, guys. We hope
Thank
you enjoyed the
you.
conversation. We hope you guys learned a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you enjoyed it and want to support us, share it with a fellow raver, like and subscribe. We're close to 1K followers, so
Ooh.
Oh,
please
wow.
hit that follow button if you're
Yeah.
not following already.
Please,
And
guys.
also
Yes,
the
sir.
subscribe button in YouTube.
And YouTube, yes.
Yes.
And I mean, might as well you say Spotify and
Yep.
every other
Mm.
any platform you watch our episodes in,
Yeah.
Yes.
long or short format. Summer's almost here. We have an affiliate with Air Aloe. You can get 15% off your first order, or 10% off if you're an existing customer. And also, we love to promote earplugs, as you guys know. So if you're looking for a pair of earplugs, we do have a discount code for Zound. All the links are in the description. If you group buy, it's much cheaper. And if you need individual pairs, we also have an affiliate code with Zound. You'll get a little discount off of it on your first order. So I mean, like, we all wear earplugs. We all wear earplugs.
Yes.
Very
please.
important.
All the
Very
Anjuna
important. Yes.
family,
Very
especially
important.
with how long
Yes.
they've been wearing earplugs.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
your ears are the most important thing
Yes.
in order to continue enjoying the music.
Yeah.
But with that, we will close off the episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye.